Welcome back to TYTSports. We got some more from the big three and a really fun panel. It's got DerMarr Johnson on the end, Andre Owens, Three's Company, 3 and 4, but big game this weekend, Sunday against, I believe, the worst team in the big three. No disrespect, but the pressure's on because next week is this is week 8 going to the Staples Center. I have to at least plug this as well. Tickets still available. You should get them. If the big three sucked, I would say it sucked. I'm pretty honest about this, but like when it comes to Monday when they air it live, and I'm excited to go on Sunday to the Staples Center. I love it because I grew up with you guys in the NBA. I'm 25. I'm young, so anybody who comes with like my generation, seeing any of you guys back in action is always like a treat, and it's a fun 3-on-3 environment, and as I believe Ice Cube says, it's the way basketball is supposed to be played. So first things first, the game ahead this weekend against the Ball Hogs. Like, do you guys feel at this point, like 8 weeks in, is it tiring to get to this point? Or does age have an effect? Or are you guys still ready to run once a week?
I think we're still ready to run every time it's time to play. You know, going against the Ball Hogs. They just ain't gelled yet, but they got some great players on their team. You cannot take them lightly. We just got to go in there with our same game plan and execute, and we'll be okay.
I think it's different for different guys. Playing one game a week just on weekends from what we're used to is a breeze. But the guys who've been out of the game for so long, it's probably more rough on them guys during the week. And as far as the Ball Hogs, we beat them the first game of the year, but this is a totally different team than we beat. They made a few trades and a few pickups, so we're going to have to adjust to the changes that they made.
So speaking of some of the trades and pickups, and looking not too far ahead, but to next year, because the league's been successful. It has ratings-wise, it's been crushing Mondays. It's great for summer basketball. We've, especially competing in a way on TV against some other really fun leagues. Like Jamal Crawford does the crossover tournament, and he's been going around doing that. There's been the basketball tournament, which I believe you guys have played in, correct?
Yeah, I played it before this year. I was made to the Final Four the last 2 years. Which
has become a spectacle just because the money on the line, also it's competitive, which is super fun to watch. But going into next year, there's the rumors, right? Do we buy into any of these, of the Kobe Bryants of the world, of the KGs of the world, saying like, or getting the 2009 Celtics back together in the big three with Ray Allen too?
I would love to see it.
I would love to see it.
You guys gotta start recruiting.
I've been hearing a lot of players, want to come out and play. Like the players that came to the game that's, finished with the NBA, they already ready to play. They're excited about it. They didn't think it was gonna be that big, and then when they finally see it, they grasp it and they be like, unbelievable.
Yeah, well, we're playing in front of great crowds. We're having fun. We're competing, and I think once we really stamp the season as it finishes up to them guys, it'll be more attractive to them because they see it's really serious. It's not just a play around league. It's not an all-star game. We're really trying to go out there and win.
On that note, like the physicality, as you've seen, like in the past couple weeks. Guys are hitting the deck a lot, and I like how the fact that there's no easy buckets, man. They're fouling hard. But I wanted to bring this up because we've had a couple guys, as I was saying before the show, on the platform to discuss the Big Three's physicality versus the NBA's physicality today. So Steven Jackson, Ricky Davis, and also Kendall Gill, they all kind of aligned in this one when they were discussing how today's NBA, it just isn't the same physical level as it was when you guys were playing in the mid-2000s. And of course, if you're going back to Charles Oakley's time with the Knicks in the 90s, fighting everybody in his path, which as a Knicks fan, I of course stand up for. As I've always mentioned, I mentioned to Steven Jackson, I was like, Charles Oakley taught me how to play defense, just watching him on TV. But the point being is, a lot of people say the NBA is soft. Do you guys think it's too soft, or do you think that it's just a product of how the game has changed over time?
I think it's a product of how the game changed, because you don't got the typical old school style big man. You got more of a pick and pop. Then it revolved around, spacing the floor where 4 or 5 guys be able to shoot the three. So it's a different style of basketball, So it's they trying to push the pace to a high tempo, and they taking a lot of European style play into the NBA. The Popovich, the Steve Kerrs. So now once the game evolved around that, other teams are trying to do it, start trying to emulate the Golden State Warriors.
The game has evolved. Back then, they were just, the point guard handed the ball. There's just big men out there. Big men who's basically out there just to foul you and just to play physical. Now you have your centers can bring the ball up the floor and shoot threes. It's more of a skill game now. And also, there's so much money involved in these players. They're going to protect the players. You got a player making $100 million. You don't want him to, get cheap shotted or clothesline like they were doing Michael and Scotty back in the Pistons days. And now you got to pay this guy all this money. He's not being able to be on the floor and perform for the fans.
When it comes down to it, as you guys are mentioning, like the 3-point game has changed a lot, and the centers thing. Like they had a recent statistic go out about Nikola Jokic, Denver Nuggets center, who brings the ball up and might be one of the best passing centers in the NBA already. He's more dominant offensively, according to the reports from like a B-ball breakdown, than Anthony Davis. And a lot of that also has to do with just staying on the court. But then you also have players like DeMarcus Cousins, who I also think came out with a bad reputation for really very few reasons, and that stuck with him year after year after year. But he plays an old school style of basketball, I think. He's physical down low, he's gonna bully you to get to the rack. Is it something that needs to return to the NBA, or just because of how it's evolved, like you were saying, with the 3-point shot and how everything's spaced out more, that this is the direction it's going and there's no looking back?
I think the way it's going is good, because more skill, better talent, it gives you better success. You can't limit your game once you're working on everything, every aspect of the game, the three, the handling, so you're not limited. Coming up from the Oscar Robertsons to the MJs to the Stephen Currys, you watch how they play. Back then, Oscar Robertson dribbled with one hand. He shot with one hand. You see what I'm saying? Think about it. So the game got better. Now the game is getting even better. 10 years, 12 years from now, the game's gonna get even better. So I like the way the game is going.
Yeah, the faces of the league are Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, and LeBron, guys who take jump shots. And growing up, when we were growing up, if you're 6'4", 6'5", they put you on the block. And now you got, at 5 years old, you got these kids out here doing 2-ball drills. And they're growing up with there's hundreds and thousands of trainers out here who putting these kids through all kind of ball skill drills. So as they get older, they're used to playing with the ball in their hands, so nobody's on the block anymore. Nobody's, learning to set screens, and the traditional stuff that big men, had to do, when they was coming up.
It feels like the specialist has lost some of their shine when it comes to the NBA now. Like that, there was times where even in Kyle Korver's case, 3-point shooter, roll off, and at least historically, he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the history of the league. But that's starting to seem like it's kind of wear off. The shine is starting to go, because you can't just be 3-point shooter. You can't just be big man down low defensively. You have to be all around, but you realize that how unique of a player it is to be an all around and be dominant offensively, defensively, in transition.